Dark Souls 3 is the worst game I've ever played.
Oh god, a Dark Souls 3 review from TikTok? I can only imagine how well this is gonna go. Alright, so we're back with another video, laughing at a bad game review. And this is my first time watching this one, and I already know it's gonna be terrible, so let's go ahead.
Let me explain. Now, I am by no means an expert when it comes to Dark Souls.
Who could have guessed?
When it comes to gaming skills, or when it comes to even just overall game design. But I can still tell when a game is not well designed. To start off with, my biggest complaint is the action inventory, or action queue, or whatever the f you want to call it.
You mean like, starting an attack and actually having to commit to that attack?
There's no reason for a game to queue up my mistimed dodge or heal and then put it in after I get my asshole absolutely smacked by some Skeletor looking Gigatwink with a sword twice as long as he has.
Actually, that exists to punish you for making mistakes. Only attack when you have the opportunity. And this is far from the only game that actually works this way. There are so many games that work like this.
Then we have kicking. Probably the worst mechanic I have ever seen in a video game is this god-awful kicking.
Then don't use it then, dude. I mean, it's mainly used to stop enemies from shielding, to kick their shield out of the way. But if you don't want to use it, that's fine. I've done entire playthroughs where I haven't kicked once.
I understand, if you can get the millisecond required timing for kicking, go for it.
What he's talking about is you having to hold up on your left joystick and press the attack button at the same time to perform a kick. But apparently it's bad because he can't time it correctly.
It's so obnoxious to try and time it that the mere existence has actually ruined my fights and gotten me killed.
Hate to say it, but you just have really bad timing, so why not spend some time practicing the kick? And plus, what boss fight are you ever going to use the kick in?
Because the aforementioned timing has been just happenstance spammed. Next, the bosses. The bosses are another overwhelmingly garish feature of Dark Souls 3. As of right now, I've only made it to Yhorm.
Most of the good bosses are in the later half of the game. The beginning ones are a little too easy for my liking. But let me guess, you don't like those because easy mode. Accessibility, bro.
And I understand that there's plenty to go and still see. But every single boss that I've encountered have been diabolically underwhelming with their performance. Don't get me wrong, each boss is completely different and intriguing in their own ways, but they're not entertaining. Every single boss fight in Dark Souls 3 is mediocre at best.
I'm guessing bosses such as Midir, Nameless King, Sister Freed, all these cool ass bosses just don't exist. Dark Souls 3 is literally known for the best boss fights. I think it has the best boss fights in the series. Also, how are you gonna say all the bosses are mediocre when you haven't even fought them all yet? Come on, dude.
My primary examples here, Abyss Watchers and Yhorm. Abyss Watchers is probably the worst boss fight that I have engaged with. The only mildly interesting feature of the entire fight is the first phase, where you utilize the mechanic of the boss fighting and killing itself to kill the boss. Other than that, you don't even really do anything, just run around and dodge everything. The second phase is only interesting when compared to the first phase, because there's the utilization, at least, of a fire-spitting sword.
I mean, you're talking about a boss at the beginning of the game. Of course it's not going to be as advanced as later bosses in the game. I don't understand, dude. If the boss was, crazy and super powerful or something like that, you'd be complaining because accessibility. But when they actually put an easier boss there for you, you cry that it's too simple.
Other than that, it's an unimpressive bob and weave fight where you need to dodge a couple attacks and then get your own in.
Wait, what? You have to dodge attacks and then attack on your own? It's almost like that's the entire point of the Souls series.
There's no interaction, there's no engagement, there's no interesting animations to any of it.
You say that as he drags his sword across the ground, summoning a beam of fire to target you.
It's just a boring, bad boss fight. Then, Yhorm, whose fight is next to impossible without the utilization of a god sword that you only use in the one fight and can't even sell afterwards. And the only way to know about that sword and even think about picking it up in the middle of a boss fight is if you do an optional side quest 4 hours in game time prior. In what universe is that good design?
What's that? Different ways to approach the boss fight? Nah, bad game design.
And before you get on my case about this, I'm not saying the Rykard fight in Elden Ring was any better.
People love the Rykard fight, but I'm guessing you don't like it because it's not simple, you know, it's a little bit different. You have to get like a special sword. But earlier you were complaining that the bosses were too simple. But now you're complaining that, you know, there's an interesting mechanic to the boss. Which one is it, dude?
That's equally shitty game design.
I don't mean to toast your content here, but if we want to talk about shitty design, let's talk about the way you cropped that gameplay. You can't even see anything that's going on.
And I think a fight like that is uninventive, uninteractive, unengaging, and overall a very bad fight. I understand that Dark Souls is a game about figuring things out for yourself, and it's supposed to be difficult, but there's no reason for an entire boss fight to be cheesed and negated by a single item that I'm basically supposed to use.
You can fight the boss without the item. Whoa.
Otherwise, I'm literally going to spend an hour fighting the one guy. Vordt of the Boreal Valley, also absolutely tragic.
Absolutely tragic is the perfect way to describe all of these Dark Souls hate videos where people, you know, bitch about the game.
He left such a lag of an impression on me that I had to go look up a video for the fight and watch a solid minute at least of it before I remembered who it was.
Well, aside from the tutorial boss, he is the very first boss in the game. So of course it's not going to be anything crazy. Wow, crazy concept, you know? There's a boss to ease you into the combat of the game.
And it was just a frost-based mace-swinging bastard. High Lord Wolnir, so incredibly simple and boring.
Okay, I think Wolnir is pretty shit to be honest, but at least they tried a, you know, cool concept with breaking the bracelets.
I beat it offline in one attempt after accidentally discovering the boss.
By the way, the gameplay doesn't change whether you're online or offline, so I don't know why he said, oh, I beat it offline. That doesn't mean anything.
Every single attack was so incredibly telegraphed that I could not beat the boss. I could have probably beaten High Lord Wolnir blindfolded on a keyboard and mouse.
Considering you couldn't beat Yhorm without the Storm Ruler and you apparently had to spend like an hour doing it, yeah, I highly doubt that.
It's so incredibly boring. The next point that I want to make on this is the lack of enemy diversity. Almost every single enemy that you're gonna come across is some lanky, malnourished British fop who's just trying to shiv you for his daily shillings.
What's that? Big enemy equals bad.
Other than an occasional knight in shining armor who breaks through the monotonous rainforest that is these washed up fops, there's nothing there going on in terms of enemies.
There are tons of unique enemies in Dark Souls 3. Don't even try to go off of this shit.
As I've said, I'm not the greatest gamer alive, and
Yeah, we really didn't need Einstein to figure that one out.
I know I still have plenty of time to see the rest of the game, but this is why I think.
And then after that, the video just loops through again because it's a TikTok. Yeah, horrible review. If you guys liked, leave a like, subscribe for more videos like this. Yeah, peace.